Blog Talk Radio.
Following ingredients include a look behind the scenes. Cook uncovered until hot. Add grooves to taste.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. The 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. I was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think he may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Trannsition Radio with your host, Angelo. A show for trans folks by trans folks, here to let your voice be heard.
Well, hello and good evening and welcome to Trannsition Radio. My name is Angelo, your host. Tonight's show is being broadcast live from the land of enchantment, Silver City, New Mexico. I wanted to take a moment first to thank our sponsor, theBreastFormStore.com. They have everything you could imagine to enhance your feminizing needs, and the wonderful Dr. Vartan Mardirosian, a facial feminization specialist based out of Jupiter, Florida. Please visit our website and click on their links to check them out and show them your support. At any time tonight, you're welcome to call in. The number is 646-716-6895. Again, that's 646-716-6895. Many struggle for equality. In a world, the trans community is no stranger in this department. In Arkansas, there is an anti-discrimination ordinance that they're trying to pass. I was informed by a Facebook friend who has an FTM daughter, or FTM son, was born a daughter and identifies as an FTM, and is still young, but her mother wants to make sure that she has a better life and has not to deal with discrimination. Anyway, her brother is actually part of the committee who is trying to pass this bill. I've watched a clip of a video, which is very disheartening to see that this day and age, people still think that transgender individuals are pedophiles. They're worried about bathrooms issues. They think that we as transgender individuals go into bathrooms to do some crazy, evil things. I don't understand this in this day and age, how these so-called religious people who are supposed to have God in their heart seem to only worry about one thing, and that's sexual perversion. It makes you wonder, why are their minds always going there? Anyway, this is happening in, let me see if I can pronounce this correctly, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and it's definitely facing some very, very ugly opposition. I had informed this friend of mine to have her brother call in if he wanted to talk a little bit more about this whole ordeal. I've also linked the video on this actual Blog Talk Radio so that you could press that link and it will take you and you could actually view this for yourself and see that it's incredible how much hatred is being pushed upon the LGBT community, and now as of late, the T. I want to congratulate Buck Angel. He has a victory, and it's a dear friend of mine, and he never fails to amaze me in the wonderful heart that he has. Buck and Elaine, if you haven't heard the story, they got married back in New Orleans in 2003, where same-sex marriage is not legal. The couple relocated to Mexico post-Katrina and never returned to the city. Buck is asking for $2,000 a month in spousal support and claims Elaine moved $500,000 out of their joint account. Buck said on his Facebook page after his divorce went public on TMZ, he quoted, "It saddens me that my partner of 11 years to this level. I have also realized that this is not about me, but about our fight in the LGBTQ community to have the right to marry. Apparently, it is not just that she doesn't acknowledge me as a man, and that's funny, after 11 years, and I've actually seen them in videos, and I've actually interviewed Buck back in the day when I first started the TV show, but did not have the capability of video yet, so I'm trying to get him back on the show. But they appeared so happy, and she appeared to be so supportive. She also believes that two people with vaginas should not have the right to marry. And that is very sad, how finances always tend to get in the way of true happiness, how all of a sudden people's true colors come out. You know, you're married for someone for X amount of years, you think you know them, and you really don't. And that's really sad. Breakups are not easy. I mean, I'm well-versed on that. Many of you who have been following us probably do know Jess and I split up, and she is leaving tomorrow. And I have a heavy burden in my heart because I never knew that you could love someone so much but cannot be together. It's one of those things where love is not enough, and we're just in two very different places in time right now, and I've never in my life felt the pain that I'm feeling right now in my heart. It feels like a piece of me is being ripped out of my soul. Let's talk a little bit about trans bullying. We're seeing this way too often. Kind of covered a little bit on last week's TV show when I had Tom Moore. And I get emails all the time from younger FTMs who do not want to be on hormones or do not want to have any type of surgeries, and good for them that they've taken this route. It's not for everyone. But how dare we in the community try to judge others because they are not planning to do what we think is the right way of transitioning? We all have to realize that being transgender means a different thing to everyone. We're not a cookie-cutter routine. You know, one size does not fit all. And that is one thing that's definitely missing in our world and in our community. We want to force people to live in the same boxes that we live in, and not realizing that every individual is a different story. Every individual has a life of their own. It's what happens in the community is because they feel that somebody else's expression may be taken away from their expression, and then they start the name-calling, the badgering, the trolling. I mean, this has happened to Jess and I. You know, we've gotten a lot of hatred from individuals that don't see things the way we do. And one thing I will always say, we may not agree on everything in life, but we could agree to disagree and respect one another, because that is the only way our community is going to gain strength. If we badger one another and we badger other people outside of the community, which brings me to the next topic, cis bashing, we're only going to gain more enemies. I've heard things like you cis scum and all sorts of name calling to individuals who are literally trying to understand us, but we're pushing them away with this vile language. We're pushing people away because we are wanting people to see us the way that we want to be seen, but not everybody will. And that's okay. And the sooner you realize that you do not need affirmation from others. As long as you know who you are, as long as you're happy with your life, what does it matter what others think? Create your reality. Be strong. Let us as a community unite and try to create jobs and try to create better situations for one another. Trans people are very talented people. If instead of taking all that negative that we have within us and we try to turn it into a positive, can you imagine what we could do as a community? The stars, the skies is no limit. We could do so many wonderful things to help each other out. For instance, I know a lot of trans people that are very talented as far as the music industry. If we could create avenues and platforms from one another where we could maybe even connect with people that might have a record label that are in the LGBT community and create music and create theatrical productions Hey, I got a call. Let me go ahead and answer because it does get kind of boring me talking to myself here. Hello, caller. Tell me where you're calling from and what is your name?
Well, I'm calling from Oklahoma. My name's Angela, and I am a little bit late listening. I'm sorry I was running late.
It's okay. So you're Angela,
right.
my friend on Facebook. Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, I
If
have
you
a
wanted
child
to
that...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I
No,
have
you
a
go
child,
ahead.
17, that we're deciding on what university. We have looked at Fayetteville, Arkansas, for the University of Arkansas is there. You know, my dad even helped build one of the dorms there, construction, that type of thing. He went there. And they have this anti-discrimination ordinance that's coming up to see if they're going to pass it or not. And it protects the LGBT community at large, especially gender identity. There's some parts of the ordinance where it specifically protects the gender identity population. Is that how you say it?
Yes. Yes.
So.
And I did mention in the beginning of this show, and you had mentioned that your brother would call in or you would call in.
Yes.
I know I watched the video, and it was very, very disheartening to see how individuals consider us pedophilias. You know, they're worried about, I mean, it's like, what is it with religious people that are constantly pushing that word around and thinking that members of the LGBT community have something to do with pedophilia?
Well, I do have some hope in the history of Arkansas. You know, they had a segregated population, and it was, again, the right-wing people, the religious people. I don't want to say that all right-wing people are like this, but it was the religious people that said it was not biblical for black and white children to mix. And once again, they're saying it's not biblical. It goes against their beliefs. You know, maybe the history of Arkansas will serve its purpose because they became more educated and they were, I guess it's a nice way to say it, forced to get along. And maybe this opposition might be good. And other cities will see this, and perhaps there'll be other ordinances in different cities to protect the LGBT community at large. Well, what were your thoughts on the ordinance?
I thought that, you know, it's crazy that we even have to have things of this nature this day and age. Everyone should have equal rights. Everyone should have the opportunity to be who they are. As long as you're not hurting anyone. It shouldn't even be a question. It shouldn't automatically a given.
True.
In my opinion. And
yes, I agree with you.
And to think about, here we have these religious people that are supposed to be all loving, you know, nurturing, God-loving and all that stuff, and all they ever do is create problems for the world. And they have to start looking within themselves and wondering, okay, why do I have such turmoil? Why do I always have to worry so much about pedophilia, about all sorts of sexual craziness? Well, maybe there's something inside of them that they need to work through and stop projecting on the outside world.
Yes. Yes,
you know,
I agree
and realize, you know, that we all are brothers and sisters. And Christ died for us in that cross.
True.
So instead of pointing out sins and instead of trying to harm other people, they should start being more loving and accepting and making life easier for their brothers and sisters in life, because we're all connected, whether they like it or not.
Well said. I think a lot of their comments at the city council meetings, if you look on accessfayetteville.org, is it org? It's
I'm not quite sure. I have the link on.
Org or com.
I have the link on this show. The link is on there, so when people listen to it, they could link directly to the video.
A number of people that were citizens, and some were not citizens of Fayetteville, that got up and spoke, they came from a fear-based response. It seemed like they had a lot of fear, you know, that someone could come into the bathroom in the elementary school or the church, and if it's a transgender person, that this person would attack the child or what they considered a weak person, a woman. They even talked about a woman being attacked. And these are all fear-based responses. None of that, to my knowledge, has ever happened. And I have a child that's transgender, and I have some fears in my own community at Tulsa of my child being targeted. My child's homeschooled, not for those reasons, but for different reasons. And I worry about the homeschool community attacking my child. There's one homeschool group, they use guns, they shoot. They teach the 8 to 9-year-olds how to shoot. They shoot deer. They're Tea Party friendly. Extremely Tea Party friendly. Now I'm not so afraid of that group, but I don't think I should have to worry that my child's going to get shot just because my child is who he is. And I think an ordinance like this, where it's written in the bylaws, because not everybody has that love-based reaction. Some people do have a fear-based reaction. Fayetteville is a progressive city. It's a wonderful city, kind, compassionate. There's people that have transferred to it because they like the community. And so I didn't think it would be such a big deal that the city ordinance would be passed. But it seems like people from different surrounding communities, the religious people, are the ones that have these fear-based responses. And if we remember that incest cases, if we want to bring up that, 9 of every 10 incest cases happen in religious homes. Who should we really be looking at? Over religious homes.
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned in the beginning of the show. They're so worried about all these issues, they're probably just reflecting or projecting what they're feeling inside, and they're trying to hide their own demons or fight their own demons. And, they need to just let go, let be, and let love. And,
yes.
They have no right to do what they're doing. They could believe whatever they want, lead their life the way they want to, but when they start forcing their views, their ways onto the world and trying to make it difficult for others, then that's where the problem lies. And we have to stop that. We have to. I think education will be a great thing because, like you said, a lot of them are basing their knowledge on fear, and they really don't know. They don't know a trans person. To them, a trans person is somebody who cross-dresses and is going in the bathroom to get their rocks off or whatever. But that's not the case. Cross-dressers don't hurt anybody. Transgender people don't hurt anybody. Pedophiles are totally different. And, they got to worry about pedophiles and they need to look at their churches because, as far as I know, a lot of them priests and pastors have a great history of pedophilia.
How many churches do a background check on their members, like when they volunteer to work with the children? Most times they don't. If they just went back 3 or 4 churches, they would be surprised at the responses that they get. There's a lot of education that could be done now, and it's just the fear-based versus love-based. And most of the pedophiles, are they not, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding that they're white, middle-aged men on a middle-aged income. Very rarely is it, another culture.
Exactly, and they try to pass it on.
So.
And they try to pass it on as gay men are now trans individuals, and there is no pedophilia. It doesn't work that way, but it's almost like they're trying to push it off and take that limelight away from them. And it's, they have to face their own demons. I want to thank you so much for calling in. And
thank you for hearing me. And people, if they want to take a look at the ordinance, just look up at Fayetteville accessfayetteville.org and look at their agenda. So I think it's a good ordinance to start other ones with, and I really encourage that. And if you're in Fayetteville, go vote. Be heard. So.
I will link it to the YouTube video because I put the radio clips on the YouTube, as well as the link is already on the Blog Talk Radio page for today. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.
And my love to your FTF son.
Okay, thanks.
Take care. Bye. Well, I want to continue talking a little bit about pride missing in our own community, and that seems to happen a lot as we're seeing. That is one of the reasons I believe that our community is not gaining the momentum that we should be, because there is no pride in being trans. A lot of people transition, and then they just want to forget about their past. And not to judge, because everyone's entitled to live their life the way they wish, but if we had pride and if we united, can you imagine what we would do in numbers? It is something that is very, very important. Now I want to switch a little bit of the tone of the show and talk a little bit about meditation. I'm going to be bringing in different segments, not just about LGBT issue, but about awakening, awareness, Mother Earth, what's happening to our world, the shift that's taking place. One of the things that has helped me through the years to deal with a lot of issues that I have, from my Asperger's, my OCD, I have a little bit of ADHD as well. All these things that many of us experience, and I'm not saying this at all to get any pity, because I don't want any pity, and I am a strong individual, and I've never allowed any of my challenges to bring me down. Meditation has been something that has helped me remotely. And to tell you the truth, it was a difficult task to learn how to do, because my mind is always racing. And when you meditate, one of the things that needs to happen is literally you need to make your mind blank. Just focus on your breath. Now, when I first started doing this, every single thought you could possibly imagine went inside my head. At the moment, I was thinking about next week's grocery list and you name it, just anything, because when it's an automatic, when you try to be quiet, it's like all these thoughts just try to sneak in. Well, one of the things I learned, and it helped me, was to focus either on a candlelight or focus on my breathing. And actually, I needed both, because I'm a multitasker, and I could try to do 5 things at once, or else I feel I'm not being productive enough. Meditating is one of those things that will help you center yourself, bring you into that place of peace, the place of love, the place that unites us all out in the universe. I would always start by counting my breath. I would breathe in through my nose and blow out my mouth. As I would breathe, I would count, breathe, and count as I looked at the beautiful candle wick as the flames moved side to side. In the beginning, it was a task. My thoughts kept trying to race in and try to disrupt this beautiful meditative state. I would say it probably took me a good 2 months to finally feel that this meditation process was working, that I was finally being able to let go of my thoughts. One of the things that I learned is to be gentle. Every time a thought tried to sneak in, I would thank it and very gently put it aside and continue with my breathing, looking at the candle wick, and just focusing on the breathe in and breathe out. One day, all of a sudden, when I was meditating, I started noticing that, okay, no thoughts, which was a thought on its own, but I was like, wow, this is good. It's finally happening. The moral of the story is we must have patience. Patience with ourselves, patience with others. Meditation is one of those tools that I highly recommend. I'm looking forward to getting back into my meditation now that I will be alone and will be able to focus on my thoughts, my well-being. As an empath, which many consider a gift but can be a curse, you tend to get almost sucked into everybody's energies, everybody's thought process, and everybody's problems. This is not a very good thing for an individual, because you literally take on other people's diseases and other people's issues, and you want to heal the world. And it's one thing one has to learn, that you cannot heal anyone. A healer is basically someone there putting a mirror so that the person that needs the healing could see and have awareness of self. Self-love is something that is so important. And that's why week after week, at the end of every show, I always tell you how much I love you. But I also tell you how important it is to love yourself too. Sometimes people need to be given permission. And I've had many people thank me. Mark, thanks to you, I have learned to love myself. Email after email all over the world. If I do anything in this lifetime and I could die tomorrow, I hope that I have helped many of you see how beautiful and wonderful you are. Many of you have gone kicking and screaming and fight me against this, but that's okay. Because if I could plant that seed, and that is all that I'm trying to do, then I think I've done what the universe has put me here to do. I want to continue to talk about meditations on upcoming shows. Next week, however, I have a guest. And she is an MTF who had to fight tooth and nail for her children because her family tried to take the children away. Joanna is her name, and I have to look into see. I'm terrible with names. I know, bad host, and I didn't pull it out. But if you go to my website and you go on the schedule, she will be on next Tuesday. Actually, you can see it here in Blog Talk Radio because it's already being announced. I haven't had a radio guest in a while, and I thought it'd be important to share her story. I might also have her on the TV show as well. She has no videos, and that's one of the prerequisites. But please join us next week and listen to this wonderful interview. Remember, you guys could always call in with questions. Thank you so much for caller today. I always enjoy having that interaction than just me sit here babbling. I want to thank every single one of you for your support and love in this time of need and this breakup that it's been difficult. And I know we both will get through it. Tomorrow's going to be a very hard day, saying our goodbyes. I don't cry easy, but I've done a lot of crying for the past couple of days. It's just the thought of not having her in my life anymore is going to be painful. But I know that God has great plans for us both, and I am grateful for the time we have spent together. She will always, always be in my heart, and I will always love her. Anyway, guys, stay tuned this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've got amazing guests, and of course, I've got a gold look, Abigail Grace. I am terrible with names. I mean, shoot me for that one. I'm like, oh my God, if it's not written down, I don't remember it or know it, and I'm also going through a lot of stress. Abigail Grace, yeah, she's an amazing writer. She's from England. She is funny. She's just, you can't miss this show. Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Gay Live Television, the stream, and then we'll be on the map. But we enjoy the live version. You guys could call in, ask questions, get involved. This is your show. All right, guys, I'm going to end with one of my songs called Addiction. And you know what? I love you. I love you, love you, love you, love you to death, all of you. But please, please remember to always love yourselves, too. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, and good night.
We go through life wanting many things. Some of them right, somewhere in between. The blessing, find your light. Don't worry, dear, it will all be alright. Addiction, addiction, we got some bad addiction. Addiction, you're addicted to your man, and you're addicted to your girl. You're addicted to your woman. It's all down on the floor. Addiction. 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 Let's everybody rock and roll. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Look at yourself. What do you see? are falling down, filled with disease. It's more than one, but it's no need. Let's analyze this whole darn thing. Addiction. Addiction. We have so many addictions. He's addicted to the man, and she's addicted to the girl.